Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about several things: courage and power, power and courage. It takes courage to get up here on a Sunday morning and speak to an audience that you can't see and an audience that you don't know. And now I'm realizing that our talks go everywhere, and they're not just here in New York, they're beyond, and they're not even in this country in some cases. So it's different. I'm used to informal gatherings where I can look into your eyes and read you. And you can't do that when there's 3 or 4 pieces of glass more or less staring at you in a studio audience here of Joseph, Jimmy, Seth, and our technical guys here. Times are changing, and they're changing fast. Today, a great quote for our lesson by Ralph Waldo Trine. We are born into a strange time, a time that tries our souls. True enough, right? Well, that was written in 1897. Think about it. I want to start with the quote by Ralph Trine again. We are born into a strange time, a time that tries our souls. And that's true, right? Well, he wrote that in 1897. Think about that, 1897. Germany Kent, an American broadcaster, wrote a bestseller titled, You Are What You Tweet, and had this to say about today's culture. You become what you digest into your spirit. Whatever you think about, whatever you focus on, whatever you read, whatever you talk about, you're going to attract more of that into your life. Now think about that. Make sure those tweets and messages and thoughts are all positive. That's one of today's leaders and I'm not making this stuff up. You are what you tweet. So what do you think? What do you think all day long? What's it like being you? Every single Thursday night, I ask that question of the class. What's it like being you? What's the inner dialogue that's circulating within you? Because that's the stuff of creation. That's the stuff that's creating your very existence. What are you consuming? What are you dwelling upon? And more importantly, what is consuming you? What's eating you up? Remember my talks on the importance of inventories last year, or this year, the value of self-discovery and listening to the conversation that goes on inside. When you can interrupt it, when you can put it on pause, when you have the ability to stop it, stop in the name of love, when you have the ability to hijack that conversation of negativity, you can change. We need the courage to challenge our thoughts and our messaging to ourselves and others. We are one with creative intelligence. If we pause, we can act and not react. Who would you be if you were centered more? What kind of person do you think you would show up as? What would it be like to be that empowered where you were living in a world where nothing and no one is against you? So you are what you dwell upon, or what you are tweeting about in 2020, what you're messaging on Instagram. The new language amuses me, the tweets, the posts, the Instagram. The new ideas are being beautifully represented by the youth of today, such as Ms. Kent or Gabby Bernstein or Mimi Icon. Mimi Icon, who at 33 is a self-described social citizen. She writes on social trends all over the place. Style. She's a leading commentator on many things. Look her up. She has a huge following. I was listening to her last night for about a half an hour, and I was enthralled. How somebody at 33 is so versed on so many things. And much of it's the stuff we teach. When you establish peace, she writes, this is Mimi Icon, when you establish peace, when you establish love within, when you establish kindness here, inside, You cannot act in any other way to the outside world. Wow, that's great. Inspirational author, contemporary more of mine, Alan Cohen would say, don't wait for the world to change. Change your mind about the world. So you see, I'm making a bit of a case today for change and for courage to change. Let's look to the past for a moment. I'm going to paraphrase Ralph Waldo Trine. Again, 133 years ago. He wrote a piece called In Tune with the Infinite. And here's that famous quote again. We were born into a strange time, a time that tries our souls. And I was thinking that could have been written today, this morning, over coffee. Many people live in fear. They live in fear. Everything in life now is about change and uncertainty. In this city, in every town, and everywhere. That was 1897, if you can imagine. It's like he wrote it as he was having his coffee at his computer today. This is a time to summon whatever courage you have, whatever faith that you might have, and practice that faith, knowing that you're supplied and supported. We will come through. We will rise in a way that may surprise us, and in such a way where others who dwell in fear cannot rise. We need to be confident. We need to be bold. We need to help ourselves and help others be a bit more courageous and resolve to find that person of confidence and faith within. I have to ask you the question, don't you think it's time, with everything that's happening, it's time for you. It's time for you to shine and to express yourself and find that strength and that courage. Loving yourself is the message of Louise Hay. It's our mantra here. It's what we teach here. Nurturing the true self, getting stronger, becoming more courageous. We talk about this in some way every single week. Nurture this inner strength now. Repeat to yourself, I am strong enough. I am supplied. I was thinking of Cher's song last night. I'm strong enough to be somebody. I'm strong enough. Nurture that sense of yourself. Repeat it to yourself. I am supplied and supported. I am strong enough. Love that strong person that's within you, that person who has overcome every obstacle in your life up till now. Embrace it. Know that it's there. Cultivate that strength within you. Find it. Let's get excited about being who we are. Let's get excited about the power we possess, the strength that is there somewhere. It's in you. Life will respond to it. Life will respond to your awakening, your discovery of yourself, and your courage and your power. It always has been there. The universe responds to bold new ideas, bold new thinking. The power that holds up and moves the stars and regulates the galaxies, holds and illumines you and me, and it seems to root for the brave. Courage has power and magic in it. Faith and courage are your latent superpowers. You can't lose if you have confidence and the courage we are talking about here. You have to have courage and maintain it somehow, some way. We have many suggestions in our classes every single week, every Thursday night. I invite you to tune in on Facebook Live and Zoom. Bathe yourself in the continuing reminders that you'll get in that class. Learn more, be reminded more often. Practice some daily meditation and do some affirmative prayer. And if you don't know how to do affirmative prayer, call us. We will teach you. Come in. We will be opening up soon to the general public, or call us and talk to one of our practitioners or talk to me. Here's something to think about. We are done only when we say we're done. It's too late when we say it's too late. We're too old when we say we're too old. Power is there. It's here. sustaining power when we allow it to guide us. Willingness is the key, and the courage to listen and respond in faith. Our part is to eliminate fear from any and every thought, and eliminate its twin, worry, and be committed to guard that hellish gate. Eliminate fear and worry. Just don't go there. As soon as you find yourself there, stop. Be 100% resolved not to entertain worry and doubt. Not for a minute, not for any minute. This is the essence of what Ralph Waldo Trine wrote 133 years ago, which I adapted a little bit for today. And from one of my favorites, William Edelin. Edelin states, "The future requires courage. We live in an exciting and stimulating period in history." Wow, that's an understatement. One age is dying, and a new age is born and coming up real fast. We see radical changes in sexual patterns. We see changes in identities, preferences, lifestyles, marriages, partnerships, women's roles, family structures, education, energy, transportation, religion, spirituality, everything. Nothing, absolutely nothing is safe. I say that, of course, in jest, knowing that we are supplied and supported. The churches throughout Europe are all but gone, and hundreds are closing here every single year, if not thousands. I mean, they're closing all over the place. They're not being supported financially, and the people want to grapple with the issues of today, not of yesteryear. 30 years ago, an author that I liked a lot, William Campbell, advised, he wrote The Power of the Myth, Hero's Journey, if I'm not mistaken, advised that we teachers keep pointing people to the mystery of life. You got to do that, or people are just not going to show up for what you're trying to teach. Keep pointing people to the mystery of life, the Spirit in you, the God in you. Wake to that, hang on to that, partner with that, and have the courage to invite Spirit in now. And then things will immediately begin to improve for you. People are thrown into change as never before right now. They're trying to find their place. Inquire within. The answers will always come from Spirit. I'd hate to be going it alone at this time. I listen to the news and I don't even know what to think. But as I listen to the news, I remember that I am supplied and supported and all is well. For my 12-step friends, this is the time to take a look at your steps and pay close attention to step number 3 and step number 11. We need to have the courage to trust life and know we are in the right place right now. We got to do that, and we got to find a way to give and to contribute in order to thrive. Our New Thought centers, too, need revamping. Until recent times, we were on the cutting edge of everything. Many centers are now gone, and most of the leadership are my age or older. It's true. Everybody's 60 and older. There's a small number of people that are in the 30s and 40s. So we need new ministers. We need new people who teach truth and understand truth. We need more voices like Trine 130 years ago. He would wish his voice were around now. Or Cohen, or the young voices I quoted today, Gabby Bernstein, Mimi Icon, and Miss Kent. Our centers are attempting to reinvent themselves and adapt, pivoting to meet the needs of this generation. I took a course at the Holmes Institute in 2016 where I learned that 1 in 5 are making it. 1 in 5 centers are thriving. That's the good news. The not so good news is 80% of them are not really doing as well as you'd want. And you know, their future is uncertain. So we expect change here in New York. We're learning to embrace it. We expect it. Not to make you nervous, but more to wake everybody up. Let me say it again. Huge change is coming. It's happening in almost every conceivable aspect of life. It's happening in your life, whether you like it or not. And if you think it's coming too fast, well, that's because it's coming fast. There is a quickening that's happening. I reported to our center, one of our groups, in another lesson some months ago, what was called the human knowledge doubling curve. A writer, Ferris Batterseth, reported, I think this came out of London initially, but now here, that until the year 1900, human knowledge approximately doubled every century. However, by 1950, human knowledge doubled every 25 years. In the year 2000, human knowledge would double every single year. Now, our knowledge as a species is doubling almost every single day. Wow. Try to get your head around that. Our knowledge is doubling almost, all the knowledge we've had is now doubling approximately every single day. Although hard to measure, impossible to validate, if it's even approximately true, it's staggering and it boggles the imagination. Everything is being torn down at such a fast pace, it might be unsettling to people. Usually these things happen over generations, so people can adapt. This stuff is happening real time, every day, and it really is quite amazing. Everything is being torn down at such a fast pace, it can be unsettling to some. 3 significant questions are yet to be answered. How are we going to manage this mammoth knowledge overflow? How are we going to manage it in our own lives, much less in society? What amount of that knowledge can be organized, structured, and arranged in such a way that it can be intelligently used for good? And last, third question, what if some of this, all of this, falls into the wrong hands? These are all huge questions. We could create a group every week just to discuss the changes that are taking place in our center, in the world, within us. So today I want you really to understand this, how fast it's coming toward us. And I want everybody to learn to expect change in every single area of your life and know that it is the new normal. If you think about this, it gives new meaning to the phrase, what's new? If we withdraw, if we retract, if we withdraw in anxiety or worry, if we isolate too much, if we become negative and pessimistic, if we choose any of these paths, we forfeit our chance to participate in the creation of the future. To really live in this age, or any age, requires an enormous amount of courage. It requires a courage, a faith, and a willingness to take risks. Participation, using your voice and your heart, being part of the forming of our future is to create, and it's a creative activity. This kind of courage, this kind of risk-taking with faith are the attributes that continually reform the structure of civilization. It's always been that way. It's just that it's happening at a much quicker rate right now. So what is creative courage? Well, for one thing, it's the willingness to pursue new forms, new symbols, new meaning, and new platforms of truth. The alternative is stagnation, being stuck, and talking of what used to be, romantically, longingly. It will never work, because we never go backwards. Every profession, every job, every technology, diplomacy, business, arts, medicine, everything requires those who possess a creative courage and a willingness to adapt. Certainly, that's true in teaching, and it's true in our ministry. Famous Irish author, probably the most significant of the last century, James Joyce, wrote in a portrait of the artist as a young man, of his young hero, "Welcome, O life, I go forth to encounter for the millionth time the reality of experience, and to forge in the smithy of my soul the uncreated consciousness of my race." In other words, every creative thing you or any of us do is a new event, a new step, and every time requires another assertion of courage and faith and involves risk. I especially like the words, "to forge the uncreated consciousness of my race." God works by means of each and every one of us, and all of us. Joyce is saying here that consciousness is not something handed down, ready-made from Mount Sinai, not the Sermon on the Mount, not given once and for all. Why does change require such courage? Why was it such a risk-taking venture? For the very reason that it does contribute to the process of creating a new consciousness for the human race. It's not just simply a matter of cleaning out debris from an ancient age, of clearing away dead forms, defunct symbols, and myths that have become lifeless and useless. Remember Campbell advising the ministers and the leaders 30 years ago, point people to the mystery. He wasn't trying to say, believe what I believe. He was suggesting that we are leaders to point people to the mystery. Genuine, authentic creativity always takes such courage. It may seem like we're battling with gods, or whether the gods be institutions, religious places, or places of higher learning, systems of government, anything that is protecting in outmoded ways. Well, I'm going to read it to you, but on paradigm shift, because we're involved in one right now. So this young man says, paradigm shifts are almost always nasty, messy, dirty affairs. The old guard protects its turf jealously. Dissenters are ignored and stonewalled, refused publication and tenure. They're ostracized and obstructed at every turn. Obsolete regimes, whether imperial or economic, religious, seldom give up power willingly or graciously. A paradigm isn't quite quiet because its policies are shown to be broken and its theories unscientific. It gives way in some sort of a coup. This was written by Thomas Kuhn of The Structure of Scientific Revolutions. As we go forward and as we think of religions in history, Zoroaster in ancient Persia was persecuted. The biblical prophet Micah had the courage to speak. He said, in so many words, there is no anthropomorphic God up there waiting for your sacrifices and rites and rituals. All that is required of you is to be just and to love mercy and to walk humbly. History is filled with the claims of the old gods. Those of you who have read history and know philosophy and mythology and have studied any of them, the ones that have passed, Astarte, Baal, Isis, Horus, Osiris, Jupiter, Thor, and many, many, many more. It's time to let go of at least one more, and that would be the God of vengeance and anger. The future needs us to look to the soul, to the heart, covered with the debris of antiquated systems that the world suggests that would suggest that there's something intrinsically wrong with life and people. We, each and all of us, are as God created us, in the light and the love and the glory. We must clear away, layer by layer, ignorance of all forms, prejudice of every kind, so we can see life as it is, the beauty, the beautiful thing that it is. So each of us can experience our own lives, in our lives, the strength and the reality of that spirit that speaks, saying, I am here now, I am one with you. Let that inner light shine within you right now. It takes courage, the moment-to-moment kind of courage. We have courage. It's born in our inner knowledge of God. We are one with it. We are never alone, never deserted, and never without resources. We are really supplied and supported. Ernest Holmes said, there is power for good in the universe, greater than you, of which you are a part, and you can use that power. My reliance, my sole reliance, is on that which brought me forth to express its life through me. And so it is.